Have you ever been teaching a busy adaptive horseback riding lesson and saw that one or usually multiple volunteers that are in your lesson are doing something that you need to fix or address, but you don't know how you can correct that volunteer without hurting feelings, making someone feel embarrassed, or just completely throwing off the flow of your lesson? Well, I want to go ahead and share with you a method that is a great way to correct one or multiple volunteers, but it helps protect the relationship between volunteers and instructors, helps keep your class on track, and it makes you look like a confident, caring, and professional instructor. Scenario number one is the chatty volunteer that probably has good intentions, but is talking over the instructor, distracting the students, chatting to their fellow team members that are also volunteering with them. And so you, the instructor, here in the middle of the board, you're observing your lesson and you notice that we have a chatty volunteer here. This volunteer and this volunteer are also chatting, and then maybe our horse leader is even chatting here with this student. So as an instructor, if we notice that we have some chatty teams going on and say we're getting ready to have our students do a new skill or practice a new skill, let's say 2-point for the sake of discussion, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find some type of common theme or common positive thing that I need my volunteers to rally around and help me with to help those students that are riding their horses. Our little students are on their horses here, okay? So I might use phrasing along the lines, and I'm here at this group correction right now. I'm gonna say, hey everybody, our 3 students, and you can use their names, that would be great during your lesson. Our 3 students are getting ready to put in all of their body power and all of their mind power into doing 2-point down the long rail. And we're gonna make it a little bit more challenging this time than we did last time. So I need everybody on board, all the helpers on board. We're gonna keep it really quiet, no talking, so that our students can focus on their jobs of taking on this next challenge. And I want them to be able to hear me very easily if I need to give them feedback right in that moment. Thank you guys so much for being ready to support your riders. All right, guys, let's go. Thank you so much for not talking till the end of this time. So that's a way that I could phrase it in a group way to everybody, because I have more than one volunteer who's being chatty at that time. And that's going to hopefully be a, hey guys, listen up. And I'm hopefully gonna fix multiple situations, okay? Let's say that that corrects this problem here and this problem here, but this team right here is just still having a whole bunch of chatty time here and everybody's talking and having fun. So then, as we're going through our pattern around the arena, I'm gonna give it a little time to set in, see if they do take the feedback. But I notice here, this team, they're still chatting. So I'm gonna then go to my team approach and say, hey, Johnny's team. Johnny is gonna be doing this 2-point all by himself without anybody helping him by leading that horse or by giving him verbal cues. I want him to do this all by himself. You guys are gonna still be walking by him to give him support, but I really appreciate you guys being so engaged with him, but I need you guys to help focus on the 2-point so Johnny can focus on the 2-point as well. And then once he does it, we'll touch in at the end. But remember, we're gonna be keeping quiet this whole time while Johnny does the next 2 times around of his 2-point. So I can give an ending point. It's a lot easier when you're actually out there doing it. The words come out smoother because you can tell them, okay, you can have a chat break after 1 time, after 2 times, whatever it is. You can actually be very constructive about it. And you can use the scenario going on. Try to pick up something positive that they're doing first. Lead with a praise, then give that corrective feedback, and then try to follow with a praise as well, okay? So then, our students are riding around, they're doing their 2-point. That team correction worked for the horse leader, but not my sidewalker. So then I'm down here to the individual because this sidewalker is just stepping in, giving way too many verbal prompts to that student. They're talking over the instructor. It's distracting the rider, and it's something that I need to fix in that moment for this student to be successful in that activity. So let's say that first time through that 2-point, I noticed that my group and my team didn't work. This individual is still not following that corrective feedback that was given. So on the next time around, I'm gonna tactfully come and kind of drift close to that team that's having the problem. And I'm gonna address that volunteer individually. So something along the lines of, hey Sidewalker, and you can use their name. Hey Sidewalker, I really appreciate you being so eager to help Johnny, but the best way that you can help him right now is being completely silent, because I really need to see how well he can focus during this activity, and I need him to listen to the feedback that I'm giving him. So please be sure that you are staying quiet, and also I got to get back to the lesson, but remind me, let's chat about this so I can make sure I explain the whys behind this so that everybody's set up for success next week. So that would be a way that I could correct then an individual. I'm not going to call that out from the middle of the arena unless it's an emergency. I might actually, give a sharp, quick correction to get that person's attention and fix it in that moment. But if it's something like talking, I'm gonna drift over, tactfully address it. Yes, the rider's there. Yes, the horse leader's there. But I tried 2 other ways to try to get that across to that volunteer, okay? So then I'd follow up with that volunteer after the lesson, and I would wanna make sure I explain why it's so important that they aren't talking, that they listen for those cues that I might be giving them as a group, a team, an individual. Train your volunteers on this if this is something that you implement, so that they can be hearing those group feedbacks before it gets to that individual level, okay? Let them know that that's kind of that method that you guys use at your barn, because it can help open up their ears to listen better. So hopefully that helps as an example with a chatty volunteer. And let me know if you've experienced a chatty volunteer down in the comments below. All right, let's talk about how this group, team, individual method can work in example number 2. And this is your overly helpful volunteer. And these are the volunteers that your student could be fully capable of picking up something, say a little item to put on a fun activity board, maybe a puzzle piece, picking up a ring to put on a post, something along those lines, or even picking up and setting down their reins. But volunteers just keep jumping in and doing it for them. So we might notice that, okay, my horse leader, both of these sidewalkers and this sidewalker are being way too overly helpful on our walk, halt, walk transitions while we're stopping our horse to pick up little activity pieces. And they're even almost going and putting them on the board for our student, and then they're putting the reins back in our students' hands when our students should be working on those things themselves. So that's our overly helpful volunteer scenario, okay? So a way that I might put this group, team, individual thing into play is I might say, okay, everybody, we are gonna be practicing walk, halt, walk transitions. And during this time, I wanna see how amazing our students have gotten at being able to put down their reins, pick up their reins, and while they're at the activity stations, being able to pick up the marking of the horse and all on their own, put it back on the board. So I'm gonna define exactly what I need to see from those teams, okay? So, all right, I need your help. So volunteers, you guys, your job is to, if you need to, you can use your words to remind your rider when to put their reins down and when to pick them up once we've done our walk and our halt. And the only thing I want you guys to do with this activity is you're gonna take the next piece and you're gonna put it up on your hands so that that student can grab it easily. But then they've got to turn it right side up. They have to figure out the Velcro part, and you're just gonna hold the board there while the student puts that piece on. Give them a few seconds, they can do it. They're so good at this activity. So then we'd send them off and let them go do it. that's that phrasing of letting them know what I'm looking for as an instructor, because they might think that they're being super helpful by helping that student set down their reins or help them pick it back up, or they get rushy and not patient, and so they help guide that student's hand to that correct spot instead of giving the student time to process and turn that piece over in their fingers and find the right way up for the letters and all of that. So the overly helpful volunteer usually comes from a very, very good place, and we just need to give them tips of how to properly work with those students, okay? So let's say I gave that group feedback, and again, this team here, because this student here has a full team and this student might be a little bit more physically and cognitively involved, they are still being way too overly helpful. So I'm going to go now to the team correction, and as they come up to, let's say it's a barrel that they're going to stop by that has our activity, as they come up here, I'm going to be telling them as they come along the rail to the barrel, okay guys, on this next halt, Sally, your team, they are not going to do anything with those reins. You, girl, are in full charge of those reins. Okay, so don't let your sidewalkers touch them. You're going to put them down and you're going to pick them up once you're done with that activity. So there, I've given the instructions and I've addressed the team actually through my student, which will hopefully get some buy-in and kind of soften that correction that I just gave that team for that student. So let's say that one of those two sidewalkers picks up on the feedback, but this one is just still not taking feedback. So again, as they're at this whoa here, I'm gonna come over, quietly address that one individual person. I'm gonna use their name, make sure that I make eye contact. Again, try to lead with a praise. Hey, I really appreciate how engaging you're being with Sally, but she can do this, and I need to see what she's able to do on her own so that we can see how much she remembers of how to put down and pick up her reins. So this is a little gauge of how much she's progressing. Can you help me with that by not touching those reins, and let's see what she can do on her own. Give her a few seconds, okay? If she doesn't do it on her own at all, don't touch anything. Just call me over and we'll figure it out. I could have bettered that by saying, hey, let's talk after class, and I want to give you some whys just so that this can be helpful, and I want to make sure I'm being clear on why I'm asking you to do this, but I got to go manage the rest of the class. Okay, so that follow-up after class is really important. So of course they're great volunteers, so that fixes my problem there. Okay, so I had to do group, team, individual. And I'm giving you guys the easy scenario of where when we get to individual, I only have one person I'm having to correct. Sometimes though, I might still have two people that just weren't catching on to those hints of the group and the team feedback. So I would then address the one like I just said, and then same thing as this team comes around, I'm gonna address them there at that same place. But I can still address this team while keeping my eyes on the rest of that arena and the rest of my group. All right, let's talk about our final example number 3. And this scenario is going to be our chronic short lead, which we often see with our horse leaders. So we're gonna say that those are our 2 problem horse leaders, and this one in the middle is doing great. By the way, the tape method that I'm gonna mention here, this is mentioned in the Intuitive Instructor Club, and also several different ways to manage volunteers, creatively utilize them. Lots of fun different volunteer management training and techniques are found in the Intuitive Instructor Club, which is an online private platform filled with, at the time of recording, over 200 videos specifically for adaptive or therapeutic horseback riding instructors. So make sure you go check it out if you want more information on volunteer management. So let's say that in the scenario of the chronic short lead, we have our students about ready to go into a barrel pattern, and I want to see that student use their eyes and their body, and if needed, also use that opening rein to go ahead and get their horses to go around the barrel pattern, okay? So as we're coming along to take turns in our barrel pattern, I see that 2 of my horse leads are too short. So I'm gonna be building off of something that I am gonna do ahead of time to set myself up as an instructor for success, that's gonna help set me up for success when I get to this group correction. And that is gonna be to put a piece of tape on my lead ropes to help give my volunteers a very easy visual of where I need that hand to be, so that when I get to this situation where I need to give a group correction, I can just say, all right, ready teams, horse leads, I need all of you guys to really quickly do a hand check or a tape check. If you have tape on there, if you don't, you could just say hand check or lead rope position check, something along those lines, whatever you have taught them your phrasing is gonna be. And we're gonna do that hand check because we are going to be getting ready to go through this barrel pattern, and we wanna set our horses and students up for success. Little tip, if you're doing some type of adjustment with your horse leaders like that, sometimes doing it at a halt can work best. So you can ask everybody to practice a downward transition to a halt, have everybody do a hand check, make sure reins are set in our riders, make sure our sidewalkers aren't doing unintentional touches, and even our horse leaders have good position on the rein, okay? So you can kill a whole bunch of birds with one stone of the group correct of the hand check, okay? So let's say that that group check fixed this horse leader, but this one didn't hear me or just wasn't paying attention or whatever it might be. So now I'm going to move to our team correction, okay? So these riders have gone through. As this rider and their team comes around, I'm going to say, hey, Allie's team. Allie's getting ready to go through this barrel pattern, and I want to see how well she can do this pattern without much help from her sidewalkers or her leader. So to set her and her horse up for success, let's have everybody do a hand check, including Miss Allie. So Miss Allie, check hand placement on reins. Well done. Horse leader, let's check hand placement. Oh, Allie, what do you think? Is that a good placement on the lead rope? Get your student involved. That's always fun. And then, oh, sidewalkers, wonderful job. Good placement. Thank you for not having unintentional touch. Okay, then we move on. Hopefully that solves the problem. If that still doesn't solve that problem, and we did that group check there, we got the rider involved, got everybody way more aware of their hands, then as we're coming along the arena rail, I might have to call out, hey, Jim the horse lead, can really good forward walk. I like how much you guys are helping Allie have a good forward walk along the rail. Really quick, tape check. Can you make sure that right hand by your horse's head is on your tape? Well done, thank you so much, because that's really gonna help Allie and her horse be set up for success the next time through. So, hopefully, this method of the group, the team, and then that final individual correction is something that you can go apply in your next lesson and will help you out. I'd love to hear if you have already currently tried this and it's something that works for you, or if it's a new method that you're gonna go out and you're gonna try and you're gonna practice. Remember, this is a skill and it takes practice over time to be able to pick up on the thing that needs to be fixed, and then also find like positive tie-ins of, oh, how can I word this to make it seem like a positive of I need them to stop doing whatever they're doing with their lead rope or their hands or talking, so that they can better support that student. They can help me, have the student be more independent, try to spin it in a positive way. And it takes practice to be able to do it on the fly. But don't give up just because it's a little difficult or hard the first few times. It gets better with practice. And I can tell you right now, my examples here on this board are not as good as if they were actually out there in real time, because I've practiced out in real lessons, not just on a whiteboard. And being out there and just teaching to the people and the horses that are in front of you goes so much smoother as an instructor. So hopefully that's a little bit of an encouragement for those of you that this is a new method and you want to try it out. I'd love to hear from you, and thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that this information was helpful.